I never imagined my parents' tough love would lead to a life-changing journey of independence. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. I stood there, the world around me trembling, my heart beating loud and fast, echoes of my parents' shouting still ringing in my ears. The darkness loomed like a heavy cloud, ready to swallow me whole. "You're not a child anymore," they kept saying. "It's time to grow up." Their words sliced through me, sharp like a razor's edge. I wanted to scream, to tell them they didn't understand. I was just 17, clinging to my childhood dreams. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down into the abyss. My room was a mess, clothes crumpled on the floor, posters peeling from the walls, a chaotic representation of my mind. My favorite hoodie lay in a heap, the familiar fabric was now a source of pain, a reminder of the safety I craved but couldn't find. All that comfort shattered as I watched my parents argue. Their anger felt like a storm, and I was trapped inside it. Moments like these were becoming more frequent. I could feel the icy tension between us, like a thick fog. My parents weren't just angry, they were scared too. They thought they were preparing me for the real world. But couldn't they see? I wasn't ready. I missed the days when laughter filled our home, replaced now by silence that screamed louder than any argument. My best friend Noah stood by me, his wide eyes always searching for the right words, but they never came. The lump in my throat grew heavier whenever he asked what was wrong. "Are you okay? You can tell me," he would say, his voice soft, yet I could hear the worry in it. I wanted to tell him, "No, I'm not okay." But I just shook my head, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask. My hands trembled as I remembered the last time we laughed together. But just when I thought the darkness would consume me, something unexpected happened. A mysterious piece of paper appeared on my desk. It was old, the edges frayed, and the handwriting looked familiar, yet strange. I squinted, my heart racing. It was a note from my uncle, a man I barely knew but always felt drawn to. "Find the truth, and it will set you free," it read. My breath caught. What truth? What freedom? A shiver ran down my spine. I needed to know more. My heart beat harder, an insistent rhythm drumming against my chest. This was it. This was a chance. Should I take this leap? What lay ahead? The world was a vast unknown, but this was my lifeline. I felt hope crack through the darkness, just enough to grab onto. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I stared at the note as if it might reveal its secrets at any moment, the words spinning in my mind like the autumn leaves that dance just outside my window. Find the truth, it implied, and freedom felt like an elusive dream perpetually out of reach. My fingers brushed over the delicate paper, and I could almost feel my uncle's presence. It was as if he was urging me to decipher not just the message, but also the hidden parts of myself that had long been buried under rubble and expectation. Oh, what now? I muttered aloud, anxiety bubbling within me. I could feel the walls of my room closing in. The thought of facing my parents again made my heart race. It was late in the afternoon when I ventured into the kitchen, hoping to find solace in the sunlight streaming through the window. Noah was sitting at the table, his brow furrowed with concern as he watched me approach. "What did your uncle write?" he asked. "Something strange," I answered, sinking into the opposite chair. "He told me to find the truth." Noah leaned forward, intrigued. "The truth about what?" "I don't know," I exclaimed, my voice carrying more frustration than I intended. "But, it feels important. Like, the key to understanding everything that he placed a reassuring hand on mine. Whatever it is, I'm here for you. You don't have to do this alone. A fleeting smile broke through my tension, yet it was short-lived. The reality was, my world felt crushing. My parents think I need to grow up, but I feel so lost, I admitted, the lump in my throat refusing to dissipate. I don't know how to face them or how to find this truth. Just then, my mom entered the room, her expression hardening as she spotted Noah's hand over mine. "What's going on here?" she asked, her voice dripping with undertones of suspicion that tore through the fragile comfort of that moment. I pulled my hand away quickly, feeling a wave of shame wash over me. "He's just helping me," I said, fumbling for the right words. My mother sighed, her gaze softened slightly, but the tension in the air remained thick enough to cut. She opened her mouth to speak but hesitated, choosing instead to turn away, leaving with an air of unresolved conflict hanging between us. It was clear I was failing on all fronts. My relationship with my parents was crumbling, and the fleeting joys I once found in my friendship with Noah felt tainted by the uncertainty I carried inside. The note in my bedroom called to me like a siren song, urging me to seek something beyond this restrained existence. Later that evening, after finding little peace in the company of my family, I decided to take a solitary walk. The moon hung high in the sky, casting silvery beams across the cracked pavement of the sidewalk. Each step felt liberating yet bewildering, as though I was free-falling without a safety net. With my breath visible in the cool night air, I reached a small park, a place I had often visited as a child. It felt sacred in its silence. I collapsed onto a swing, my legs swinging slightly for comfort, and took a deep breath, letting the calmness settle into my bones. As I let my mind wander, the weight of my uncle's words fell upon me again. Find the truth. But what was the truth? Was it the acknowledgement of the scars we carry from our parents' expectations? Or was it something deeper, perhaps the truth about who I was, not just who they wanted me to be? Lost in thought, I failed to notice someone approaching from the other side of the park. It took a moment for the figure to come into focus, but when it did, I felt a rush of unexpected emotions. It was Layla, the girl from school who always wore the brightest smile but rarely spoke. She hadn't seemed to notice me until she drew closer, her eyes catching sight of my forlorn figure. "Hey," she said, her voice soft but steady, like a gentle wave. "Are you okay?" I stammered for words, surprised that someone could see through the layers I'd built. "Not really," I finally admitted. Her expression changed, and in that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of vulnerability wash over me. "Can I sit?" she asked, and even though my instinct was to shy away from any unwanted attention, something in her gaze made me nod. As she settled next to me, I felt an unexpected warmth expand in my chest. We spent a few moments in silence before she finally spoke. "You know, everyone goes through hard times. If you ever want to talk, I'm here." Sometimes, sharing helps lighten the load. Just as the heaviness in my heart began to lift, a sudden rustle echoed through the park. My eyes darted to the bushes, and there where shadows lurched a figure I instantly recognized. "My father, what are you doing here?" I whispered, the anger boiling just beneath the surface. Without waiting for an answer, a flood of emotions surged. How could he follow me? Did he really think he could just invade my space? "Just checking in," he said softly, almost as if he was trying to peel back the layers of distance I had created. But the tension felt electric, and I couldn't stem the tide of frustration that spilled from my lips. Checking in? Or trying to control me, as always? I shot back, my voice shaking. Layla's wide eyes shifted between us, and in that moment, I felt vulnerable and exposed, surrounded by the ghosts of my fears and the swelling hope of unexpected connection. The words freedom and truth whispered among the leaves, echoing my turmoil as I stood at the precipice once more, feeling swept between a desire for independence and the overwhelming challenge of change. And just like that, life felt like an open wound. As my father took a step closer, I felt something was about to unravel, because in trying to confront each other, we might just discover the painful truths that lay buried within us, lurking below the surface, waiting for their time to emerge. The chill of the night air swirled around us, wrapping my father's figure in secrecy while Layla shifted beside me, her presence a buoy in a stormy sea. The tension was palpable, the pull between hurt and an unexpected bond filled the space between us like a gaping chasm. "Let's talk," my father said, his voice low but firm, yet there was a hesitant softness beneath it I had rarely heard before. It caught me off guard, and my heart skipped a beat as I searched his expression for sincerity. Did he truly want to understand, or was this just another attempt at control cloaked in an olive branch? "No," I exclaimed, defensive energy coiling within me. "You don't get to decide when it's okay to talk, especially not here, not now. This isn't about you." A shadow crossed his face, reminiscent of the many conversations we'd had that devolved into shouting matches. But beneath that frustration was something new, an ache of longing for connection that mirrored my own confusion. "Please, just hear me out," he pressed, stepping forward again, inching towards the raw edges of our relationship that had frayed over the years. "I want to know why you're running away from us." "That I am not running away. I'm trying to find myself." The words rushed out in a flood, raw and tumbling like rocks down a cliff. "It's not about you, it's about me. And I'm so tired of feeling like I have to fit into a mold you both have created." Layla glanced between us, her fingers tapping silently against the swing chain, but I could sense her resolve strengthen as she shifted closer, a silent ally amid the frayed at my father's side, a sound softened by years of wear, and for a moment, our gazes locked, a silent battle raging between the love I knew he had and the hurt I felt. "I never wanted to stifle you. I thought I was protecting you." "Protecting me from what?" I felt the heat of unspooled anger coursing through me once more. "From living? From feeling? Just because I don't want to be the person you planned doesn't mean I'm lost. It means I'm searching. I need to explore who I am outside of your expectations." At that moment, vulnerability poured from me, and I could feel Layla beside me, her warmth grounding me. My father's gaze flickered with something akin to anguish, and I could sense the decades of his own fears boiling beneath the surface. "I fear losing you," he finally admitted, his voice sometimes steadied, other times trembling like dry leaves in the wind. "You've always been my little girl. I don't want to see you hurt, or make mistakes." The weight of those words lingered in the air, tangled in confusion and uncertainty. "But it's my life, Dad," I shot back, hesitating as a flicker of doubt crept in. "You have to let me make my own mistakes. You can't keep holding on." Silence landed like a heavy blanket, and my heart pounded in rhythm to new realizations threading through the air. I turned to Layla, a whisper of gratitude hidden in my heart. She nodded slightly, an innocent witness to my struggles laid bare. "Understand that I am trying," he said slowly, the rawness of his voice slicing through the heaviness. "But you have to meet me halfway. I can't fight against someone who doesn't want to be saved." My body trembled with frustration as night slipped further into silence, broken only by the rustling leaves and the distant hum of the city that felt so far removed from the turmoil before me. "Maybe I don't need saving right now," I whimpered, my voice cracking, the weight of realization finally settling in. "Maybe what I need is space to breathe and explore, to discover my own truth." But just as those final words left my lips, a gut-wrenching sound erupted from somewhere across the park, a soft sobbing that quickly twisted into something more spiraled. My heart leapt as I turned, but nothing could have prepared me for what came next. A figure stumbled into the flickering streetlight, and there, in the shadowed glow, stood my mother. She looked disheveled, raw, and utterly defeated in a way I'd never witnessed before. The sight of her shattered whatever fragile thread of stability remained. "Mama?" I gasped, stepping towards her instinctively, confusion anchoring itself in my chest. "What's wrong?" Her eyes, typically brimming with stoicism, were now bloodshot, and I felt a shiver run through my spine at the sight. Her voice trembled as if she were about to confess something monumental, something that could change everything again. "I just wanted to speak with you, but there's so much you don't know. So much I've hidden from you." Her breath caught, and my heart raced. What could she possibly reveal that would alter the course of our family's narrative? Each second stretched into eternity as I prepared to confront a past that yearned to unearth itself, a truth that could resonate deeply with all of us, yet fracture the already tenuous bonds we shared. My father's unease mirrored my own, and I turned back to search his face. The moment felt like the eye of a storm, precarious yet promising. Layla remained silent beside me, her presence a quiet reminder that strength could sometimes come from the most unlikely friendships. As my mother's words hung in the air, uncertainty tingled through me. Alone in this moment, on the brink of revelation, everything I thought I knew teetered on the edge, waiting for the breath of truth to push it into focus. The words hung in the cool evening air, a suspended note weighed down by hidden fears and unsaid confessions. My mother stood before us, trembling, her eyes reflecting a world of hurt I had only begun to understand. A strange blend of anticipation and dread welled up inside me, my breath hitching as I mentally prepared for the inevitable unraveling. "Mama, what are you talking about?" I whispered, inching closer. "What have you hidden?" Her lips wavered, and I could sense the battle raging within her, the clash of wanting to protect me from the truth and the desperate urge to unburden herself at last. "I thought I was doing the right thing by keeping everything that hurt you away. But it's so jumbled. I don't know how to begin," she confessed, her voice faltering. Behind me, I could feel my father's shift in posture, a wall of tension pressing between him and the mother I'd barely recognized only moments before. "You should have told her, Sandra," he said softly, as if addressing a memory rather than a woman standing right there. "We can't hide things from her forever." "Stop!" I burst out, feeling overwhelmed by the clash of emotions swirling in this charged air. "Stop using this moment to argue. Just tell me what it is." Layla had moved closer to me, her presence a cocoon of calm amid the rising tumult. I could feel her warmth, solid and reassuring, guiding me through the crumbling ruins of our family facade. My mother drew a shaky breath, and I naturally followed the rhythm of her inhalation, waiting for the truth that seemed so close yet felt impossibly distant. "You were too young to understand then, but there were things happening, things I tried to shield you from." Her gaze briefly flicked to my father, charged with a mix of resentment and remorse. "What things?" My heart raced, each word brewing a storm of anxiety in my chest. "That I had a different life before I met your father. A life filled with mistakes and choices I regret. I was involved with people who weren't good for me, and I brought that toxicity into our lives." There was a tremor in her voice as she continued. "I wanted to protect you from that part of me, protect you from the possibilities of it ever touching you. But I didn't realize the very act of not sharing it would hurt you more." Confusion clouded my mind as I tried to connect the pieces of this unfamiliar puzzle. You made bad choices?" "Yes," she admitted bitterly, her fingers trembling against her sides. "And I felt I had to live with my past alone. I didn't want to influence your choices. I didn't want you to see me as someone flawed, but hiding that has hurt me more," I pointed out, the sorrow washing over me a wave I was struggling to surf. "I wish you had trusted me with your truth. But instead, you left me guessing, left me to create stories of your failures that weren't even real." My father's brow furrowed as he weighed her confession, like scales teetering on the edge of losing balance. "Sandra, you should have explained this better, instead of keeping it from her." "Please, let me finish," my mother interjected, her breaths coming faster. "All those choices, those mistakes, they have influenced your future in ways you can't understand. I was terrified they would break you if you ever found out. I believed protecting you meant keeping you in the dark." That I felt torn, swirling with emotions that ranged from anger to empathy. My mother had been afraid, but this fear had turned into a prison of silence. I shared that fear in a different way with my father, who had tried but had gone about it all wrong. As the streetlight flickered above us, I sensed an electric energy surrounding the three of us, three hapless souls caught in the crossfire of secrets and protection. Right before my heart could fully process the hurt, Layla squeezed my hand, grounding me. "There is kindness in truth, even when it hurts," she breathed, as if summoning the very courage I needed to confront the maelstrom before me. My mother continued in a whisper, "There's something else. Something that binds us all together, but is overshadowed by fear and shame. I wish we Didn't have to fight this battle alone. That I suddenly realized there was a deeper layer to the situation than just my parents' distance and secrets. What do you mean? I asked, hurt amplifying within me. What do you want to say? I want to tell you about the family you never knew, the family on my side, the history I believed would taint you and create disappointment, my mother said urgently. There's illness, an inheritance of pain and loss, and I hid it because I thought it would destroy what we had. The air shimmered with uncertainty, and I gasped, the implications forming a dawning horror in my chest. A thread of fear wove through me, tightening like a noose as I locked eyes with my father, who was as stunned as I was. Are you saying that? My voice faltered, the reality creeping in with each word I spoke. Is this why you've been so worried? My heart raced with the weight of her confession hanging like a pendulum, foreshadowing not just the truth of my mother's past but the potential that's shadowing our future life together. Listen, I never wanted this to affect you, but it's time we face it, all of it, she said, tears spilling down her cheeks. It's my burden, but it's time you knew. You might be stronger than we thought, ready to carry it if you can. The world around us felt like it had shifted, our small gathering transformed into the epicenter of an earthquake that could fracture existing bonds or forge new ones altogether. As her words echoed through the night, a dark future loomed uncertainly before us, offering no guarantees. Please, say something, my mother pleaded, anguish ringing in her voice. But her words barely registered. I was lost in a whirlpool of anxiety and uncertainty about how far-reaching this truth would ripple through our lives. There, in the silence that followed, I realized we stood on the brink of something monumental, my whole life poised to pivot either into newfound understanding or a painful chasm of despair. As I searched the faces of my parents, their own fears laid bare, I recognized the duality of love, fierce, flawed, and often steeped in heartbreak. What was to come felt inevitable, and yet uncertainty curled around me like mist. The revelation my mother had brought threatened to reshape everything I believed about us, darkening the horizon of possibility, leaving me suspended in the air, desperately seeking a way forward while I hovered over a chasm that felt impossibly deep. The silence that blanketed us felt like a physical weight, heavy and suffocating. I couldn't shake the chill of my mother's words. They clung to me, wrapping around my heart like a creeping vine threatening to suffocate every hopeful thought. You might be stronger than we thought, ready to carry it if you can. The challenge lingered sharp in my ears, taunting me with its implications. Mama, I started, my voice trembling with a mix of confusion and hurt. What could be so terrible that you had to hide it from me? Who are these people in your past? My mother glanced at my father, and for a moment, the world around us fell away, leaving just the three of us in a fragile bubble of raw emotion. Her features twisted amidst 1,000 unuttered fears. Many things, my love. Illness that runs in the familiar heritage of heartache I didn't want to pass on to you. I didn't want you to worry, to live in a shadow of unease and fear. Then tell me. Help me understand. If I have to carry this burden, it's not fair for me to do it alone, I urged, desperation creeping into my voice. I looked at Layla, who stood by my side, a silent anchor amidst the swirling storm of anxiety. Her grip tightened as if she too felt the weight of my mother's burden, but the uncertainty reflected in my mother's eyes sent an ice-cold shiver down my spine. It's complicated, she uttered, her voice breaking at the edges. I thought if I kept it from you, you would live a happier, untainted life. But now... Now what? Now you think it's better to lay this on me without warning? I felt anger rise within me, raw and fierce. Each word poured over the wounds of past frustrations. Her secrets had never felt like protection, only a deceitful way of shielding me from a reality I was undeniably part of. This isn't love, it's a prison. My father sighed, stepping closer between us, attempting to diffuse the storm within our minds. We've all been hiding, trying to maintain the semblance of normalcy, he said gently, searching for a footing between our simmering emotions. But now it's time to break free from that pattern, to confront it together. I wanted to scream that breaking free felt like an impossible task. How do I step out of this swirling mass of unknowns? Each breath I took felt heavier, and I fought to keep my composure as the reality pressed down upon me. You can't push this on me, not now. I exclaimed, my heart racing, fed by the chaos swirling in my mind. What if what you're hiding is too much? What if it crumbles everything I thought I understood? I've already kept the truth from you for far too long, and it's already affecting how we relate to one another, my mother replied, her voice now steady but laced with sorrow. All I want is for us to move forward with strength and honesty. I thought I was doing the right thing by protecting you, but I see now that it only created more distance between us. As I processed her words, the tension began to shift. Beneath the chaos was a flicker of hope. A tiny voice inside whispered that perhaps we could rebuild, but it was buried beneath the pain of knowing while truths could liberate, they might also tear apart. Are we still a family if we don't face this together? I asked, my voice lowering into vulnerability. We can be, my father replied, stepping closer. His voice was softer now, a glimmer of sincerity catching my attention. But we have to commit to doing it together, wholeheartedly. No more secrets, no more false assumptions about who we are. We owe each other that much and more. My mother nodded, the anguish in her eyes giving way to a spark of resolution. I ask for your forgiveness, and I hope we can find a way together, a way through this. In that moment, Layla moved closer to me, resting her head gently against my shoulder, grounding me. No matter how heavy that burden feels, you won't have to carry it alone. We're all in this together, she whispered, her warmth infusing a sense of calm I desperately craved. Just then, the buzz of my phone interrupted the fragile peace. I glanced down, and my heart sank as I spotted a familiar name gleaming on the screen, the last name I had been trying to forget. What now? I whispered, the dread pooling in my stomach. Layla lifted her head, and her eyes widened with concern as I answered the call, drenched in uncertainty. Hello, a voice unmistakably familiar spoke with urgency. I need to see you. There are things you need to know about your mother's family. The weight of those words clung to the air, thickening the atmosphere around us with tension, while hope flickered among the fallen wreckage of unspoken truths. As I stood teetering on the precipice of a shift I hadn't anticipated, my heart raced toward a future that felt as uncertain as it was destined to reshape everything I thought I knew about love, family, and resilience. The call hung in the air, a fragile thread tethering me between hope and dread. My breath caught in my throat as I tried to process the voice on the line. Memories of family dinners filled with laughter and warmth suddenly felt tainted by the reality that insisted on unraveling the facade of our lives. I can't just meet with you, I finally responded, running a hand through my hair in frustration. You need to tell me what you mean. What could you possibly know that I don't? Your mother's past is like a storm, swirling just out of sight, the voice replied, a hint of urgency crackling in the air. But if you're willing to listen, we can ride it together. Meet me where we used to spend summers, the old oak tree by the river. You have to understand the roots of this family, the legacy you carried. An ache bloomed in my chest at the mention of that oak tree, a place of childhood innocence now laden with memories I hadn't touched in years. I glanced at my mother, whose expression was a mixture of fear and sorrow, as if she sensed the tumult brewing just beyond our fragile moment of connection. For a split second, I considered hanging up, retreating back to the sanctuary of our small family world, where we could navigate our truth at our own pace, but the urgency in that voice, the promise of revelation, pulled me in like a tide. Okay, I whispered, the decision settling heavily in my gut. I'll meet you. As I ended the call, a silence blanketed us again, thick with unspoken fears and lingering confusion. You shouldn't go, my mother said, her eyes wide with an unsettling mix of worry and something akin to guilt. What they might tell you is more important than living in the dark. I interrupted, feeling a fierce urgency to reclaim my narrative. I can't walk around in a shadow of uncertainty. I need to understand that I know, sweetheart, she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. But some truths, some pieces of family history are not meant for the faint of heart. Layla remained close, her hand slipping into mine, steadying me. You are strong, she reassured, grounding me in her presence. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Remember, I nodded, but uncertainty swirled within me, the air feeling heavy with unspoken fears. The memory of what that oak tree used to symbolize, hugs with laughter echoing around it, felt like a distant dream. "I'll be back soon," I vowed softly, already feeling the weight of a legacy I hadn't even known existed pressing down on my shoulders. Just as I turned to leave, my father placed a hand on my shoulder. "Just remember," he said, his voice steady, "walking into the past does not define your future. You have the power to shape your own path." That I smiled faintly, but a shiver of doubt pricked at the back of my mind. The lessons of my parents unfolded in my heart, yet the complicated web of familial history beckoned with the promise of chaos mingled with clarity. That evening, I made my way to the oak tree under the dim light of the setting sun. The sky bled deep oranges and purples, and the cool breeze whispered through leaves like old friends sharing secrets. As I stepped on the worn path, memories of laughter and the scent of adventure enveloped me, yet, beneath it all lay an unshakable sense of impending doom. When I reached the tree, a figure emerged from the shadows, an unfamiliar face but with the unmistakable features that mirrored my mother's. It took everything within me not to turn and run. The tension in my body tightened as I approached. "Thank you for coming," the figure said, a hint of remorse entwined within their tone. "I don't even know who you are," I replied, my voice edged with defiance, laced with uncertainty. "I am Clara," they said, taking a step closer. "And I'm here to share what your mother was too frightened to tell you. We have a family burden, one that has been passed down through generations, a legacy she thought could be hidden." With every word that slipped between us, the air thickened, a storm brewing on the horizon of truths I had yet to grasp. "What are you talking about?" I pressed, my heart hammering in my chest. "That fear." Clara paused, searching my eyes. "It runs deeper than you know. It's more than just illness. You need to understand, this isn't just about her." I felt my heartbeat in my throat, nerves coiling tightly. "Then what is it?" Before she could respond, a loud crack rang through the air, and a sudden gust of wind rattled the branches above us, sending a flurry of leaves swirling. Clara turned abruptly, her face paling, and in that instant, the peace of the gathering twilight shattered, replaced by an ominous hush that hinted at truths long buried and a legacy not yet revealed. "Someone saw you," she whispered, shattering my already fragile composure. "They're watching you right now." As the shadows deepened around us, I glanced nervously behind me, dread coiling in my stomach. The ground beneath my feet felt like shifting sands, threatening to pull me under into a tidal wave of secrets that I had dared to confront. The air felt charged with a tense electricity as I stood under the sprawling oak, two worlds colliding around the ancient tree that had been a silent witness to my childhood. Clara's words hung between us, heavy with foreboding, drowning me in a sense of impending doom. I could hardly catch my breath. "Who's watching me?" I demanded, my heart racing as I cast frantic glances through the dimming light, searching for shadows that may have been more than just that. Clara stepped closer, her expression a mix of concern and fear, and I felt the urge to flee, to retreat into the safety of my known life, bathed in innocence and ignorance. "It's complicated," she said, her voice barely above a whisper now, trembling like the leaves around us. "Your mother, she was followed by something we thought we left in the past, but it's resurfacing. Your search for the truth has put you in danger." Each word pulsed through me, a wave crashing over the remnants of my childhood, displacing the fragile sense of security I clung to. "So, what am I supposed to do? Just walk away? Pretend this isn't happening?" The sharpness of my tone surprised even myself. "No." Clara reached out, gripping my arm with a fierceness that was unsettling, like she was afraid I might shatter into pieces. "You need to listen. We can't let fear dictate our choices any longer. We need to revive the old stories. Find our strength, together." I stared at her, feeling lost in the storm of her words. "You talk about stories, but they sound like nightmares now. What legacy could possibly tie us to danger? I don't even know what that means." The shadows danced around us, and as the last slivers of daylight faded, the coolness of the night wrapped around me like a shroud. Clara took a deep breath. "It involves your family's past secrets your mother buried to protect you. But those secrets have a way of surfacing when we least expect them. An unexpected warmth brushed against my skin, as if a flicker of hope dared to flicker within the fear. So, you're saying she did all this for me? Tried to keep me safe? I asked, uncertainty drenching my voice. Yes, Clara affirmed. But not just you. There's a legacy of power, one that carries both great strength and great vulnerability. If harnessed, it could change everything if we face it, together. A rustle in the distance sent chills racing down my spine. My stomach twisted tighter, churning with the revelation that danger loomed not just within the shadows, but within my very bloodline. My family? I whispered, almost to myself, trying to grasp the magnitude of her words. What do you mean by power? Let me show you, Clara insisted, her eyes deepening as they bore into mine, igniting a fire of defiance within my chest. Tonight is the beginning. Follow me to the river. Before I could process her words, she began walking briskly toward the far side of the tree where a well-trodden path led into the encroaching darkness. A mixture of dread and curiosity propelled me forward, and I trailed behind, the ground underneath my feet now feeling unfamiliar. As we reached the riverbank, the moonlight shimmered on the surface, illuminating the greenness of the surroundings, but the tranquility felt deceptive, a mask distracting from the depths lurking just beneath. Clara knelt by the water, splashing her hands in the cool depths. This river carries our history, she explained, her tone shifting to reverence. It's where our ancestors drew their strength. But it's also where we need to confront our fears. I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest, scanning the wisps of fog rolling across the water's edge. How? How do we do that? What does it even mean? Pulling a small cloth bundle from her pocket, Clara unwrapped it carefully, revealing a delicate silver necklace with a crescent moon pendant that glinted in the moonlight. This belonged to your great-grandmother, a guardian of our lineage. It's a part of you. A flutter of surprise danced through me as I reached for the necklace, noting the cool metal against my skin. You want me to wear this? Why? Because it symbolizes the bond between us. In times of uncertainty, we need to remember our connection to the past. It will guide you when the storm comes, she said, her voice steady yet somber. At that moment, a sound broke the tranquility, a rustle in the woods surrounding us, the sound of footsteps, low and deliberate. Clara straightened, her demeanor shifting instantly, alertness carving lines across her face. We need to go, now. She hissed. I felt the blood draining from my face as terror gripped me. Who was following us? What had I stumbled into? The weight of family ties felt heavier than ever before. As we hurried away from the river, plunging into the shadowed path, an overwhelming fear clashed with determination, igniting a resolve deep within. I would uncover the truth, I would face whatever legacy waited. But just as I rounded the bend, the low voice of a man broke through the shadows. Don't think you can escape so easily. The past never lets go. The hairs on my neck bristled, every instinct screaming at me to run. I glanced back at Clara, who wore a mask of defiance mixed with dread. This was only the beginning, and I was standing at the edge of something perilously deep, drowning in a past that wrapped around me as tightly as the encroaching darkness. The rustling leaves whispered secrets as I ran, my heart pounding like a war drum against my ribcage. Clara was a shadow at my side, urging me onward, but all I could hear were the lingering echoes of that ominous voice behind us. The past never lets go. It reverberated within me like a haunting refrain, pushing my thoughts deeper into chaos. Every step felt like a leap through time, the ground beneath us a connection to those who came before, and yet as I fled, I couldn't help but feel that I was being pulled back towards something I had no control over. What kind of lineage was I a part of, and what kind of powers did Clara speak of? The necklace hung heavily around my neck, its cool metal a reminder that there was more to my family than the mundane life I had led. When we finally reached the edge of the woods, where the trees gave way to a clearing, I stumbled to a halt, gasping for breath. The night sky sprawled above us, vast and indifferent, stars twinkling like distant eyes. Clara's grip on my arm tightened, her brow creased in concentration. We need to make a plan. A plan? I echoed, incredulity threading through my voice. What do you mean? I barely even understand what's happening. The panic surged again, pushing me toward the brink of tears. I didn't ask for any of this, that I know, Clara replied softly, her expression softening as she searched my face. None of us did. But running won't change our fate. We have to confront it, or it will find us. As the adrenaline receded, I felt a wave of vulnerability, a fear so profound that it threatened to swallow me whole. But what if it's too much? What if I can't handle it? You can, she reassured me, because you're not alone. This isn't just about your mother's past, it's about us, about the connection we have. There's strength here, waiting for you to uncover it. I took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill my lungs, trying to clear my mind. And if we confront it? What does that look like? We dig deeper. We uncover the truths until we find the heart of the darkness. It could lead us to answers, or it could draw us nearer to peril. But running away will only leave us guessing. And I can't let you face this alone, I want. Her voice shimmered with conviction, igniting a flicker of courage within. Just then, my phone buzzed insistently in my pocket, breaking the thick tension. Confused, I fumbled for it, my fingers trembling as I unlocked the screen. A text notification blinked from an unrecognized number. Trust no one. The eyes are watching, it read. My breath hitched, fear clawing its way back. Clara, I saw something, she interrupted, casting her glance back toward the woods. Something in the trees. The air felt stifling as I turned to follow her gaze, and for a moment, the shadows twisted into ominous shapes, alive with the weight of fear. What if they're already here? I whispered, images of those who might have followed me since I began this journey flooding through my mind. Together, Clara insisted, her resolve swallowing her own fears, grounding me in this moment. We face it together. Just trust me. She reached for my hand, and for a second, the warmth of her grip was a tether, anchoring me against the onslaught of uncertainty. I looked into her eyes, searching for anything that could help me make sense of this madness. Clara had something inside her, an undeniable strength wrapped in the wisdom of someone who had fought similar battles. Okay, I replied finally, nodding even as doubt churned in my stomach. What do we do? First, we visit my grandmother. She knows more about the legacy than anyone alive. If we're going to piece together this story, we need her guidance, Clara said, and before I could fully process the implications, she pulled me toward her motorcycle, hidden away in the clearing. The engine roared to life, vibrating through my bones as we sped toward the unknown. The wind whipped past, a stark contrast to the turmoil crouched within me. With every mile, uncertainty loomed closer, a promise of unearthing secrets that could crumble the fragile world I had known, but there was a pulse of hope stirring within the dread, igniting a fire that burned just brightly enough to illuminate the darkness ahead. Just as we approached the gravel road leading to Clara's grandmother's home, my phone buzzed again, catching my attention. I glanced down, and my heart sank. Another message: they're closer than you think. You can't trust Clara. In that moment, the earth beneath my feet melted away, plunging me into a chasm of doubt. Who could I trust? What kind of journey was I really embarking on? As we rounded the bend, Clara's features illuminated by the glow of her bike's headlights, I was left wondering if this would be the last step I took into the light of the truth, or if it would lead me further into shadows deeper than I could bear. As we arrived at Clara's grandmother's house, the landscape shifted dramatically. The once gravel road unfolded into a small clearing surrounded by thick woods, the silhouette of a humble cottage nestled beneath the overhang of ancient oaks. An ethereal aura seemed to cling to the space, charged with the energy of histories untold. I felt drawn to the place, even as the doubts festered in my mind, making it hard to breathe. Clara parked the motorcycle, her fingers brushing the metal in a farewell gesture before we stepped toward the door, adorned with weathered carvings that hinted at decades of wisdom and secrets. As the evening shadows deepened, unease washed over me anew, each second heavy with the weight of the moment. Are you ready? Clara asked, her voice smooth yet laced with urgency. I hesitated, caught in the grip of my swirling thoughts. What if she doesn't want to talk to us? What if? She will, Clara assured me, not allowing my doubts to snuff out her resolve. She has to, with a shuddering breath, I nodded. Clara knocked softly, and the door creaked open, revealing the inviting warmth of the interior. It smelled of herbs and spices, mixed with a hint of something floral. Perhaps my senses clung to the comforting remnants of a life once lived here. An elderly woman greeted us, her kind eyes brightening as they landed on Clara, despite the shadows etched around her face. "Ah, my dear Clara," she said, enveloping her granddaughter in a hug. "You've come at last." The warmth in the woman's embrace felt like a balm over my frayed nerves. I stepped back, a little hesitant, wary of intruding on their moment. But Clara looked back at me, her gaze inviting. "Grandma, this is Lila. We need your help." Her grandmother's attention immediately shifted to me, her expression becoming serious. "You must be the one with the necklace. Come in, come in. We have much to discuss." I followed them inside, feeling like an outsider, an interloper in this world of ancestral legacy. Once we settled around a small table cluttered with books and plants, Clara's grandmother studied me. "Tell me, Lila, what do you know of your family's past?" I swallowed hard, fighting to find my voice. "Not much, to be honest. Only that my mother often spoke of things that didn't make any sense. Legacy, powers, a darkness that loomed. I always thought it was metaphorical." Clara's grandmother nodded gravely. "Well, my dear, it is metaphorical, but it's also all too real." The room felt stifling as I leaned closer, desperate for understanding. "What do you mean? What kind of legacy?" She sighed deeply, her features lined with both wisdom and sorrow. "Your lineage has always been inextricably tied to a power that exists beyond our understanding. A force that can be both protective and destructive. And in your case, Lila, it seems the destructive aspect is awakening." I recoiled slightly, the fear creeping into my bones. "But why?" "I didn't ask for this, no one ever does," she replied softly. "But when the time comes to confront the past, it comes with unyielding consequences. Your mother wove through dark times, and it appears those shadows are reaching toward you." Just as the weight of her words settled in, Clara's phone buzzed, cutting through the thick tension. With a hesitant glance, she checked the screen. I watched as her face went pale, confusion twisting her features. There was an unseen tide shifting in the room, a foreboding that churned in the very fabric of our surroundings. "What is it?" I asked, my heart racing. "It's a message from someone named Max," Clara said, her voice a cautious whisper. "It says, you don't understand, Lila. Trust no one. Your past is about to come alive." A chill shot through me, mingling with a bewildering mix of fear and betrayal. Clara's eyes held mine, their uncertainty mirroring my own. The very air thickened as I felt the room shrink around us, a sinister presence lurking just beyond the walls, waiting patiently, watching. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from outside, rattling the windows, jarring us from our fragile conversation. Clara's grandmother rose immediately. Her expression hardened. "Stay here. You'll see what that was." I couldn't breathe, locked in place as a sense of helplessness draped over me like a shroud. Clara looked at me, her eyes wide and filled with something unspoken. Fear? Resolve? I couldn't tell. Minutes dragged like hours as we waited in agonizing silence, my heart thudding louder than the tempest brewing outside. It was as if the world was preparing to unveil its secrets, one dark thread at a time. When Clara's grandmother returned, her face was pale, the lines of worry stark against her skin. "We're not safe. Not here," she said, urgency propelling her every word. "We must leave now." "Leave? Where?" I stammered, confusion swirling in the pit of my stomach. "Somewhere only the ancients can guide us. We must embrace the journey or face the inevitable wrath of what's to come." In that moment, I felt the fragile thread of hope I was barely clinging to snap, plunging into the unknown. As my heart raced, the boundaries of trust began to morph into a distorted mirror. Clara's hand found mine, the warmth of her skin reminded me I wasn't alone in this chaotic storm. But then, a horrifying realization washed over me: could I truly trust her? What if the very person who stood beside me was entangled in the very darkness I was struggling to escape? The truth lay deeper than I imagined, hovering in the dark corners of our past, waiting to drag me under. Standing there in Clara's grandmother's house, the weight of revelations threatening to crush me, I felt as though I was caught in an intricate web woven from lines of fear, legacy, and an unseen darkness just waiting for the right moment to strike. I had gone from a disillusioned teenager clinging to my identity to someone pursued by shadows from a past I never comprehended. And now uncertainty enveloped me at every turn that I swallowed hard, trying to drown the chaos spiraling within. "We can't just run," I protested, my voice tremulous and hovering in the air like smoke. "We don't even know what we're running from." The room was a sanctuary turned prison, filled with ancestral burdens I had yet to unearth. Clara stepped closer, her gaze steady. "But staying is not an option," she implored. "Whatever is lurking outside, whatever shadows your mother feared, they're growing bolder. We must meet it head-on. It's the only way to reclaim your truth." The thought struck me like a bolt of lightning. Was this the truth my uncle's note had hinted at? Was I truly ready to face whatever lingered from the past, knowing the family legacy I carried? I could feel the necklace clinging to my throat, throbbing like a heartbeat in tandem with my anxiety that I can't go back, I said, a new resolve settling amidst the fear. I can't live in the dark anymore. Not after everything. The murmur of Clara's grandmother's promise to reveal what had long been hidden lingered in my head. Could this be the chance to not just confront my family's past but to understand the essence of who I was meant to become, free from the shadows of generational pain? "Then we face it together," Clara said, her eyes shimmering with fervor. "We take this journey as one." The urgency in her voice pierced through the haze of doubt, igniting a flicker of courage inside me. I nodded, despite the fear gnawing at my insides. "They are coming," Clara's grandmother warned, peering out the window, a storm of thoughts swirling in her wisdom-lined eyes. "There is not much time before our past comes crashing down. We must leave now, to where it all began, the hollow under the oak tree." "What? No!" I gasped, the sheer thought sending a ripple of panic through me. We were just almost attacked there. There was no way I was stepping back into that gathering storm, surrendering myself again. "There is power there, strength gifted through your lineage that will protect you," she insisted, urgency etching every line of her weathered face. "It might be the only salvation for all of us." Before I could respond, a loud crash echoed through the trees outside, reverberating through the room like a thunderclap. The windows rattled, and I felt the weight of inevitability descend, binding me to my choice. This was it. I was at a crossroads where past met present, where fear met promise, the choice to confront the unknown or run from it. "Stay close," Clara whispered, taking my hand once again, a bridge between hope and despair, a promise that we were in this together, no matter what awaited us. Together, we fled the house into the encroaching darkness, each step brimming with uncertainty as the air crackled with tension. "Remember, the truth may be painful, but it is also liberating," I murmured to myself, trying to summon the strength of my own voice, recalling where it all began at the base of that oak. The ground was familiar yet filled with potential, a canvas where my past could collide with a brighter future. As we approached the oak tree, shadows loomed ominously around us, swallowing the surrounding landscape in a blanket of frigid air. The branches twisted as if they were alive, every rustle a reminder of hidden truths yearning to emerge. A flash of movement caught my eye, and my heart raced. Clara stopped, her grip tightening around my arm. "Lila." Someone called in the distance, both familiar and foreign, threading a chill through the air. I turned to see my father emerge from the shadows, his figure illuminated by the moonlight, casting long shadows that mirrored my unease. "Dad." I gasped, caught off guard. "What are you doing here?" "I came to find you," he answered, his chest heaving as if he had run miles. I realized I could no longer let you fight these battles alone. There was sincerity in his voice, interspersed with something more, perhaps regret? Understanding, that cracked the walls of my heart just slightly. "I thought you'd abandon me to my journey," I replied, each word a wave against the fortress I had erected around my insecurities. That I did all this to protect you, he whispered, his voice laden with unspoken apologies. But I see now that perhaps I failed you by not sharing my truth, the truth of our family, the burdens that created the ghosts you're now facing. That I felt a strange warmth bloom inside me, a glimpse of understanding peeking through the shadows. The struggle had transformed into the potential for healing. So, you know about everything? My voice barely formed the question, but I searched his eyes, seeking answers. Yes, he admitted, regret etching his brow. But every generation bears the scars of the last. We tried to shield you from the pain, but it seems to have returned, compelling us to finally confront it. Then we confront it together, I said, resolve blooming within me. Your past is part of my present. Teach me how to fight it, teach me what we must do. The conviction surged through me, igniting the tether between father and daughter. Clara's grandmother emerged from the shadows behind us, a fierce determination knitting her features. Then we must all tread carefully in the hollow, for its whispers may bind us closer to what we've each avoided. As the four of us gathered beneath the sprawling branches of the oak tree, I understood that this path was no longer my battle alone. The oak held the weight of our ancestors, and together, we would weave a new narrative, one of strength, courage, and love, garnished with the lessons of acceptance. Moments stretched into a silence that was not oppressive, but comforting as we breathed in the history laid before us, ready to reclaim our truths. The storm may have been brewing, but we would face it with open hearts. In that charged moment, I realized we were more than remnants of accepting a legacy washed in shadows. We were the light threading through the tapestry of broken stories. Together, we would shine through the darkness, and as the whispers of the ancestors beckoned us forward, I took a deep breath, my heart whispering against the rhythm of hope. Here, we begin anew.